الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي خلق الإنسان في أحسن تقويم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Dear beloved Muslims, believers, that is, we seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the rejected enemy. With the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Praise be to Allah who has indeed created the human being in the best of modes. And I witness that there is no God but Allah, and I witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. Prayer and peace be upon Muhammad, and upon his family, and upon his companions, and upon all of us. I come before you as a reminder, not a teacher, because Allah is the best of teachers. We give Allah thanks and praise, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. And I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Friday is always a beautiful day. It's always an auspicious occasion to see the believers here for Jummah, the most important day for the Muslim. More important than Eid, more important than your birthday, more important than any other day we can think of is the Jummah Friday. It is said that if you're doing if you messed up last week after Friday and you repented throughout the week to this Friday, all sins are forgiven from Friday to Friday. So we always have Good Friday for the Muslim, always. So I want to open up by reading out of Surah 3, Ayat 104, where it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَّا الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And that is, let there arise out of you a band of people inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is wrong. They are the ones to attain felicity. And today my topic is going to be freedom of El-Islam. And in order to understand even freedom of El-Islam, you have to say, what is El-Islam? And we may say, oh, it's the religion, it's the deen, it's what we follow. But El Islam, in its literal meaning, means the peace. It has a definite article on it. That's why when people say Islam, and this is from our teacher Imam Muhammad, he said, may Allah have mercy on him and grant him a paradise. He said that when you say Islam, that just means anything. Because just like if I said Bayt, I could be talking about any house, right? But if I said El Bayt, I'm talking about the house. If I say El Islam, I'm talking about a particular Islam, a particular peace. And only the peace that Allah can bring. Brothers and sisters, please put your cell phones on silent. And only a particular peace that Allah brings. So when we say freedom of El Islam, when we think of the word freedom, what comes to mind? For many of us, especially from who are of the African American or African descent, who are African American, we think of freedom. That's when Lincoln freed the slaves, or coming out of bondage, or for some brothers and sisters coming out of prison, or I want to be free from my wife or my husband, or free from that job I'm working. I want to have my own freedom so I can have my own time. So when we look at freedom, we're not talking about that type of freedom. Not talking about freedom out of bondage, freedom out of off of oppression. Now, if we say we're talking about freedom out of oppression, let's look at the word freedom. Free, meaning something you don't have to pay for, and dome, meaning like your dome. They say, "Oh, I'm a hit him in his dome, or hit her in her dome." Right? The head is dome, right? Because the head is the covering for whatever else is inside the head. The covering for the brain. You call this your dome. So free dome means free to think with your intellect that Allah has blessed us with. Free to believe how we want to believe. Free out of that bondage of that thinking that we may have been put in by others. So when we say freedom, those are two words, free and dome. It means the free, something we're getting for free, thinking. And Allah has given this Quran to us for what? Free. And so when we look at this, when we look at freedom, we say, oh well, how they describe animals, right? Animals, oh, they're free to roam in the wild. The animals are free, they're roaming free. The animals aren't free. The animals are being completely obedient to Allah. The animals have been doing what they were supposed to be doing for thousands of years. If you see a human being and the human being says, okay, well, I wanna act like a lion, right? You got this freedom I want to act like a lion. So you'll see a person put on the lion suit and go, rawr, 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 or I want to be a tree, and dress up, put some wood and leaves on himself. And if you watch documentaries, there are people that actually do this kind of stuff, and they'll say, oh, okay, I'm gonna be a tree. I thought I was born a tree. Or you might have a man say, well, I'm a man, or I'm a woman trapped in a man's body, and vice versa. But you'll never see animals do that. You will never see Allah's creation do that. You'll never see an animal say, well, I'm a female tiger, but I want to be the man tiger. Or the lion say, I'm a lion with the mane, and I'm the king of the jungle, but I want to be the queen of the jungle. You'll never see animals do that. Why? Because they have a particular obedience. It may look like they're free, but they're being obedient to Allah. And the same thing is for the human being. Now, if we say, okay, the human being is the only creature, only part of Allah's creation that can say, okay, I want to be other than. I want to be other than my human excellent self. I want to be something lower than the human being. And so when we look at the freedom that Allah gives us, and it's not necessarily a complete freedom, because we have what's called free will. And if you say, oh, I have free will, we only have free will to a certain point. Because if I'm drinking, I'm freely drinking. I'm drinking alcohol, freely drinking alcohol, and keep on drinking. My body's gonna eventually say, yeah, you had that little free will to do that, but I had a free will that Allah gave me to make you have cirrhosis of the liver. You're smoking a lot. Oh, yeah, you may be smoking a lot. You may think you had that free will, but I have the free will to give you lung cancer, emphysema, because it says. Okay, you're not going to take care of your body, then I'm going to put it back in the ground where it belongs. I'm going to take it back to the earth to its complete obedience. And so we had this little bit of free will, right? And so with those things comes consequences. And even with the free will we have in the world, in the circular environment. And I was just talking to a brother about this. We have this free will in a circular environment, but the circular environment is made in order to break our will. If we say that, we want to say that, because the freedom or free will I'm talking about, or the freedom we're talking about, is the freedom of the intellect. And so what will happen is the circular world will try to take that intellect away from us, take that free thinking away from us. And not too long ago, I saw a brother walking down the street right outside, and he was walking, like, and he's doing all these movements and screaming and stuff. And I'm like, is he talking to me? I'm looking around, and he has some earphones in his ear, and he's reciting whatever verses from whatever rap song he was listening to. And I said, and so I said, man, look at that. You know, the influence of the words, because we live in an oppressive word environment. The influence of the words that he was getting was making him look like a crazy person. And so uh, it's okay to talk to ourselves. You might see a person walking down the street talking to themselves, talking to themselves. But it's okay to talk to ourselves, but to go over whatever we want to go over, whether it's thinking on Allah, thinking on Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ, thinking on something that's gonna better the community. It's okay to talk to ourselves, and they'll tell you don't talk to yourself, because why? They'll make you think you're crazy. Like, they'll make it look like you're crazy. If you're talking to yourself, oh, you're crazy. You're a crazy person. But if but they say that because they want to be the ones talking to us. They say, oh, talk to yourself, you're crazy, so I can talk to you. Because when we look at the world we live in, the environment we live in, and we have television, television has hours, and you could watch television until your death, because there's so much programming out there. You can listen to music until your death, because there's so much music out there. We can play video games until our death, because there's so many video games out there. And so I was watching this a while back when I used to live with my father. We were watching a football game, me and my brothers. And so, we were up there going, yeah, oh yeah, cheering for our team. And so my father came there like, what's all that noise? And he saw we was watching the game. And I'll never forget this. He said, you're watching this game and you're so enthusiastic about this game. Why can't you be that enthusiastic about the Quran? Why can't you be that enthusiastic about El Islam? And so that always stuck with me. What am I giving my enthusiasm to? What am I giving my freedom to? Because I'm giving my thinking to watching football. I still watch football. I still watch basketball, so on and so forth. But to have that take over, and I'm not knocking entertainment, but if too much of anything is bad, so we can't just want to be entertained the whole time. The time for play is over. The time for play is over. We can't want to be. We don't need to be entertained for our life the whole time. And so Islam gives us the freedom. Yes, Islam gives us the freedom to go out and do what we need to do. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.
Amen.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So we're talking about the freedom of Islam. And in that ayat 3 and 104 it says, let there arise out of you a band of people inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong. They're the ones to attain felicity. And so when I was reading this ayat and thinking about the freedom, Bilal came to mind. And I was watching a message with my wife the other day, and it was like, oh, Black Bilal, Black Bilal. And so looking at the history of Bilal and what he had to go through, you know, when it says, let there come out of you a band of people inviting to all that is good, Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ did not have like a whole lot of companions. He didn't have 50 or 100 companions. He had a select few companions. And with us, in this day, in this time, like I said, the time for play is over. We have to say, okay, what am I? Am I Muslim all the way? Am I gonna be Muslim all the way? Am I gonna follow Islam all the way? These are things we have to ask ourselves, the believers. Am I gonna be Muslim all the way? Am I gonna follow Islam all the way? Because if you say, "Oh, I'm gonna follow Islam some of the way," or I think I'm kind of gonna follow Islam, then I'm gonna tell you, if that's all you're gonna do, if that's all we're gonna do, then we'll come back for you. We will come back for you because we're at a point in our history and in our society that Shaitan truly has lost all his professionalism. The people need us, and we need each other. Shaitan has truly lost all his professionalism. And I was thinking about this the other day. It's so much so that when we see things on TV or read things in the news, that we're numb to it. We're numb to it. Just like what happened with the Catholic Church and all that's being revealed about the Catholic Church. People knew all this stuff was going on, but now it's all coming to the forefront. But a person looks at that and say, "Oh, that's bad." Oh, okay, well, that happened. We look at the news, and I'm saying this because we're bombarded with so much negativity in our daily lives that we look at the news, whatever violence, of pedophilia, so on and so forth. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Oh, somebody got shot in Southwest Atlanta. Okay, that's Southwest Atlanta. And so when we look at these things, and we should have a sensitivity to the wrongdoing that's happening in the world. But we have become so numb to it because it's like the Pavlov effect. It's called classical conditioning. It's if you give somebody something so much, repeatedly, and it's into their mind so much, into their thinking so much, because if it's entering your thinking, entering your ears, then it's entering your spirit. So it's entering us so much that, oh, okay, this is just normal. This is something that's normal. But it's not normal, dear believers. It's not normal. And so this is what our job is to do. Our job, and I'm talking to our parent generation, but I'm also talking to the youth. Coming to Juma is not enough. 5 daily prayers is not enough. Ramadan is not enough. Zakat is not enough. Going on Hajj is not enough. Islam is not just, okay, I'm a Muslim. Islam is when you say, okay, this is what I accept and this is what I'm going to practice. And I'm going to practice it the right way. So if we're saying, okay, I'm a Muslim, I'll say, will you be Muslim all the way? You know, it's a hadith that says, it's a hadith that says, say, a man was asking the prophet, tell me something, and a lot of people seem to ask the prophet this all the time, said, tell me something that no one else can tell me. Give me something no one else can give me. And it says, say, I believe, and then be upright. It says, say, I believe, and then be upright. It don't just say, I believe. Say, I believe, and then be upright. And this is supported by Quran. Because, you know, Muhammad, the Prophet ﷺ, said that it will be many things that come after me. If it agrees with the Quran, then it's from me. If it doesn't agree with the Quran, then it's not from me. And so it says, say, I believe, and then be upright. And so when we look at this, and when we look at say, okay, I'm a mu'min. If you say I'm a mu'min or a mu'mina, then we have to be that all the way. A mu'min is what? A believer is what? One who hears and they obey. If you say I hear and I think about it, then you're not a believer. If you say I hear but I'm going to do the complete opposite, then we're not a believer. But if we say we hear and we obey, we read Allah's word and we obey Allah's word, then we are a believer. And again, like I said, they're believers. The people out here, we need us, they need us. We need to be mirrors for each other. We need to get right in our El-Islam. Not saying we're not right in our El-Islam, but we can be right, if that's a word. And so when we look at this, you know, it's talking about the Qiyam nature. You know, the Qiyam nature addresses the man's feeling of power and dignity when he stands. And I'm not just talking about like the physical man, because man Muhammad said man meant what? Mind, right? And so when we say we're talking about this and after, thereafter be upright, this is talking about the Qiyam nature that we're in. You know, the Qiyam nature to be upright. Because Qiyam is the only time we do what? When we're in Qiyam is when we recite what? The Quran. There's no other time during the prayer that we're reciting the Quran, except in Qiyam. So that tells us that the Quran is what brings us upright. And so if I have the best thing going, if I have the best knowledge, the best wisdom, the best light, then I want to spread that to the rafters. Yeah, I got this. We got this. This is what we have. It's the time to be timid and shy and scared to talk about Allah and to give Allah's word is over. I'm talking to my brothers on the floor right now that are young brothers. Young brothers, the time is over. If you want to hide at your job, the time is over. If you say you're a Muslim, the time is now to be a Muslim. If you say you're a mu'min, the time is now to be a mu'min. Rise up. We got the best thing going, brothers and sisters. We have the best thing going in this El-Islam. So the time to be shy is over. It's over, dear believers. And you don't have to necessarily be a scholar to show your El-Islam to others. You don't have to be a scholar. You can just be a good Muslim. You know, you like to see you praying at your job. Oh man, Malik is praying every day. You know, he must be a Muslim. Or they see you fast. Malik is fasting. He must be a Muslim. Or they see you don't involve yourself in foul language and ignorance. Man, you must be some religious person, right? That's what I used to get. You must be a religious person. And I say, yeah, I am. But you must go to church a lot, don't you? I go to my holy place of worship, yeah. And so eventually you tell them you're Muslim. And if you want to start a conversation with someone, like I said, we have to know when we do start a conversation with someone. If we don't, we just hand them a Quran or hand them some a leaflet explaining what El-Islam is. But if we want to be people out in the forefront and bringing this to the people, then we have to have product knowledge. And we're not forcing it on anyone. We're inviting. I'm going to invite you to this. I'm going to invite you to Islam. And so, so when we have correct product knowledge, then we're good to go. I'll even give you something to give to somebody when they ask when you want to start a conversation about Islam. And you don't have to tell them you're Muslim. All you have to do is say, hey, brother, what's going on? Do you know the meaning of life? That's all you have to say to them. And it instantly sparks, okay, the meaning of life. Because, you know, in the movies, they always try to find the meaning of life, but it never gets to it, right? It's always something that interferes with the meaning of life. And it's a very simple answer to it. Obedience to God. That's a very simple, straightforward answer to the meaning of life. This Allah tells us the meaning of life. Obedience to Him. Obedience to your Creator is the meaning of life. So when we get in these conversations with people, it's not a conversation to have to argue with you. If they want it, they want it. If they're intelligent enough, they want it. You know, I used to do that in my younger days. I used to look for an argument. Like, okay, yeah, mine's better than yours. but nowadays, if I see the conversation is going nowhere, I say, yeah, you have a good day, because I'm not about to waste my time, my energy, and my thinking on somebody who doesn't want it, who just wants to argue. Now, we can have an intelligent, intellectual conversation. That's fine. So my thing is, for believers, do not waste any more time. There's a whirlwind of change coming to our country and to the world, and we are going to be at the forefront. We have the spirit to carry the Quran. We just lack the technical understanding, but we're getting that too. So in this whirlwind of change, we want to be at the forefront. And again, if you don't, if you don't want to be it all the way, you don't want to be a mu'min or a mu'mina all the way, you don't want to follow Allah all the way, then we'll come back and get you. Now it says in the Quran, you know, the ones with the light kept moving forward, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm sorry, but it says the ones with the light move forward, and the ones without the light, they say, hey, where you going? Come back, and we'll come back and get you. We'll come back and get you. Don't worry about it. We'll come back and get you. So we have the light right now, the believers. We have the Quran in its entirety. You know, you think about the Sahaba and the believers back in Muhammad, the Prophet's time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They didn't have the Quran as a whole. We do. Muhammad, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "The ones that come after you will have the Quran better than you do." This is talking to the Sahaba and the believers, the ones that were with Muhammad, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Muhammad even said, "We're going to have it better than they do." So that's what we have, dear believers. We have it better than the rest right now. We have the spirit to carry this book. And so when we want to practice the freedom that we have, we're in the perfect place to practice it. We're in the United States of America. Despite Donald Trump or whoever, you know, we have the best time, we have the best El-Islam, we have the best deen, we have the best El-Islam to practice in America. We have the best situation. Because in the Constitution, it didn't say white men are endued with inalienable rights. It said all men are included in these inalienable rights. Why? Because Thomas Jefferson, we study Thomas Jefferson, the architect of the Constitution, he carried Quran. He carried the Quran. They have a Thomas Jefferson Quran in Washington, D.C. in the Library of Congress right now. Keith Ellison was sworn in on. So this country was built on El-Islam. Despite the slavery and everything else, this country is built on El-Islam. That's what it was built on. Imam Muhammad said that they wrote that for us. They wrote the Constitution for us. I ain't gonna get into that, but anyway, they wrote the Constitution for us. And so when we look at the country we live in, you know, it reminds me of uh, the scene from Malcolm X where Elijah Muhammad says he gives Malcolm X uh, 2 glasses of water, and he says, "See, this is what the people have," and he puts ink in the glass. He said, "It's dirty water, and they'll drink it if they thirsty." And so then he takes a clear glass. He said, "This is what we want to give you, a clear understanding." And so when we look at our history, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a brilliant man, and only Allah could have gave him what he had. Only Allah, a man with a third grade education, was in charge of the leader of one of the most influential organizations in the United States of America ever. And when we look at the history, I was looking at it and it said freedom, justice, and equality. That's why I decided to talk about freedom. That was the motto for the Nation of Islam: freedom, justice, and equality. And the Quran brings all those things. The Quran brings freedom. The Quran brings justice. And the Quran brings equality. Before the Quran, there was no such thing as women's rights. The Quran is the first book to bring and talk about women's rights. There was no such thing. So when we see people being oppressed overseas or wherever, they say, "Oh, Islam is the most oppressive religion to women." It's not at all, because El Islam is El Islam. Now, culturalism and racism and prejudice are on their own. There's no racism in El Islam. There's no culturalism in El Islam. There's no prejudice in El Islam. We have the best book, dear believers. We have the best understanding. So we have to utilize what we have. And we're not better than the Arabs. We're not better than the Asian man. We're not better than our brother that's sitting on the floor next to us. We're all equal, because that's what El Islam does. It's the great equalizer. Not because we're not better than the sisters. Sisters are not better than the brothers. If we have to look past the outer shell and look at the spirit of the person, look at the soul of the person, look at the thinking of the person, and then we'll get a better picture of that person. But if I look at you and all I see is an Arab, or all I see is a black man, or all I see is a African, or whatever, then I'm not looking at the true you. And if you look at me, then you're not looking at, and say that, then you're not looking at the true me. My brothers are my brothers, and my sisters are my sisters. And we need to be cordial to one another and make this thing right and move El Islam forward. Again, I ask you, are you going to be Muslim all the way? All the way. That's what I want to know, dear believers. And that's what I want to leave you with. Are we going to be Muslim all the way? Are we going to worship Allah all the way? Are we going to be obedient to Allah all the way? Because El Islam is not just a religion, it's a complete and total way of life. I should be thinking with this book. I should be making my daily life how I interact with people. I should be using that with this book. But if I'm not using this book and I'm using Robert's Rules of Order or whatever else, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do as a Muslim. So, with that being said, I want to just leave you with that. Know that we have the most beautiful understanding. Know that it's not a thing to be fearful about. The only thing we should fear is Allah. So if someone asks you if you're Muslim, yes, I'm Muslim. What do you want to know? Do you want to know about El Islam? That's the way we need to be. We need to be excited about it. Just like my father says, excited as you are about LeBron James going to the Lakers, or whoever going to the Browns, and so on and so forth. We have to be excited about our deen, even more excited than that, than with their plight. We have to be excited that we are Muslim. We have to be excited that we have this, and we want to share it with everybody. Everybody. Even the people we think are just the dregs, we want to share it with them, especially them, because they need it the most. So again, keep that in mind, dear believers. Just make a self-assessment and say, am I being Muslim all the way? Am I following the obedience of Allah all the way? Just do a self-assessment. Look in the mirror, ask yourself those questions, and you know the answers. You and Allah are the only one knows those answers. So we want to also make dua for our Hajis. They left for Hajj a few days ago, and inshallah keep them in your duas. Uh, and also on a more personal note, I want to thank everybody here at the masjid and all around the country for the prayers and duas you made for my father. My father recently had brain surgery, and it was very serious. And I'll let him tell your story. He had a lot to say when he came out of that surgery. If you know my father, but I'll let him tell that story. But I just want to say from our family, thank you because your prayers worked. My father's still here and he's still living, and he said he has a lot more work to do. So I want to thank you all again. And if you can, donate to it's a launch good for Imam Qasim Ahmed. If you all can donate to that because he needs help because he was the braille one, so he needs help before he gets back on his feet, inshallah. So again, thank you, alhamdulillah, for your du'as. I mean, it truly means, that's why I love being Muslim. It truly means the world to me that, Muslims from all around the world were praying for my father's recovery. Alhamdulillah. So, رَحْمَةً فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Oh Allah, give us good in this world and good in the hereafter, and protect us from the torment of the fire. Ameen. Dear believers, real quick, don't get up until he says Qaqama to Salat. The reason for that being is Qaqama is the command to stand up. I know in other messages you may see people standing up before. If you need time, if you're older and you need time to stand up, that's fine. But the Qaqama is when the Muslim is supposed to stand for the Salat.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي للصلاة حي للفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين ويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن أنزل الله في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. We give the announcements for today. For those of you who are not familiar with the site, Launch Good is a Muslim-owned website, and it is similar to the GoFundMe page. So, Masjid al-Mu'minun has posted that link on our Facebook page. So anyone who wants to help donate to Imam Kazim Ahmed's recovery, that's also to help him pay for his hospital stay, please go to that link and do what you can to support that effort. We will also get the link. I guess can you send it to me in an email so I can send it out as an email blast for those who don't have the Masjid's Facebook page. Eid Salat is Wednesday. It's next week, 8/22, at West End Park at 9 a.m. And towards that end, we have Brother Mustafa Shahid, who will be slaughtering sheep. So all lamb must be paid for in full at the time the order is placed. So he's saying, please pre-order your lamb today. Call 404-418-2644 to pay for your meat. Also, tomorrow is the day that Project Smile will be leaving from the masjid after Fajr Salat to go to Tybee Island. So if you haven't paid for that already, I suggest you do that as soon as possible. Brothers and sisters, everyone has seen the efforts that have been made around this masjid to beautify and upgrade it. We have brand new chairs in the lobby area. And even though the chairs have not been there that long, maybe a couple of weeks, people are already destroying the chairs. We're asking, please do not put food, any liquid, or any bags. The bags are for you to sit in, not to put your belongings in, because you're messing up expensive. I mean, they're not cheap. They're there for you, for you. It's there to beautify this masjid, and you all are disrespecting the property. So please, be conscientious. This is our house as well as Allah's house, and we want this building to look good when we come here. We want it to look good when visitors come, and we ask that you respect the property. Thank you.
Please support the Muslim Journal today. Pick your copy up after Juma. If you all have not seen it, it's been on Facebook for over a week, but the masjid in Detroit that was founded by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is now on the national list of historic locations. So it's on the front page of the Muslim Journal. We suggest that you get a copy and read it. Ikhlas on Cleveland Avenue is now serving breakfast Monday through Fridays from 7 to 11 every day, well, 5 days a week. And I think that's it. Anything else? Assalamualaikum. Oh, just a reminder, Mustafa just told me the animals are being slaughtered on our property on the corner. So if you want when you want to pick up your meat, that's where you'd be going to pick it up. Assalamualaikum.